Miscues. What the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ryno's Rants. Good evening to those in the chat, G-Mac, Doc, Dave, all you guys. Thank you for joining once again. And the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football went back to their early season ways and snatched defeat from the jaws of victory as they lose to the Denver Broncos 21-20, or whatever it was there. Good evening, Drewster. The Vikings had no business whatsoever losing that game last night, but yet here we are. So good evening, James. I'm going to do one thing first here. I am not a person that's going to go out and blame losses on the officiating, because there's plenty of blame to go around in this whole thing, but Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell was that? There was at least 3 significant plays that the officials just plain ass missed. Probably the most egregious one being that hit by Kareem Jackson on Josh Dobbs in the first series. That should have, at very minimal, been helmet-to-helmet contact. Probably should have been targeting. And yet there was no yellow flag thrown on the field. Fumble stood. Denver turned around and scored 3 points shortly thereafter. Now today, the National Football League came out and suspended Kareem Jackson for 4 games for the hit last night. That wasn't a penalty on the field, but it apparently drew a 4-game suspension. Jackson has been suspended multiple times already, and this just adds to it. And the Vikings get the equivalent of a sorry, our bad apology from the NFL for that not being called last night. Good evening, Brian. Good evening, Raymond. But yeah, that one play alone there would have been the difference in the game. The god-awful fumble by Alexander Madison as the Vikings were driving down the field to get points. James exactly. Lance jinxed us on the show on Friday, and I will bring that up to him again as when we do the live show this Friday night. Good evening, Stephen. Can we stop playing Madison? I mean, I will give Madison credit for the fact that he did have some decent runs last night. He was playing all right there. But then that fumble was an absolute killer. It killed the entire momentum. And I was talking to Brunswick back and forth during the game and made that comment right after that fumble. I said that just killed all the momentum that the Vikings had, and sure enough, went the other way, and we ended up dropping a game that we had no business losing. As far as Ty Chandler goes, he absolutely deserves to get more playing time. He got more last night, but the part that frustrated me was it seemed like every time we got down inside around the goal line, inside the 10-yard line, they'd take Chandler out and put Madison back in. He'd run into the back of one of the linemen, and we get no yards or not enough to what we needed. They keep saying that Madison is a much better pass blocker than Chandler, and that's why he's in there on more often than not. I saw Ty Chandler make a couple of very good blocks last night. That one pass that Dobbs completed, I forget who it was to, but he was throwing to the left, and there was a free blitzer coming up the middle, and Chandler picked him up, knocked him back, gave Dobbs all the time he needed to throw. You have to excuse me a little bit. I'm starting to fight a little bit of a cold, but so, I mean, Is he an elite pass blocker? No. But can he sufficiently pass block enough to, warrant more time on the field when he's obviously the better runner? Absolutely he is. Good evening, Dave, Brian, Stephen. I think I mentioned you already, but good evening again. Madison runs hard, but just hadn't been what all we'd hoped he'd be. I expected more out of Madison, to be honest, when they signed him back. I thought, hey, I mean, he played well in the reserve role behind Dalvin Cook for the last 3 years. He probably can handle at least. And to be honest, I never wanted him to be bell cow back or the lead back, but lead back and running back by committee, I thought he was going to be able to do something. But more often than not, this season he has been a big disappointment. Madison misses blocks too. Yeah, he does. I mean, nobody's perfect on the blocking, but I don't think Madison is that significantly better at it than Ty Chandler is. But honestly, I think if Flores was coaching this team, we could challenge for a Super Bowl. Since you brought that up, G-Mac, that was one of the other big gripes I had last night. I can't get that to stay up. Hold on. There we go. For as good of games as Kevin O'Connell called against Atlanta and New Orleans, last night he took a significant step back. I know if you watch Realistic Randy on YouTube, I know he made the assertion that was probably one of the worst jobs of play calling that Kevin O'Connell has done as the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know that I'm going to go that far, but it definitely was a massive step back. The third down and short play calling still baffles the hell out of me. I mean, we run the ball when we really shouldn't be running the ball. And then on a short yardage thing like that, where you should be able to get a yard, putting CJ Ham in there and pushing it up the middle or something if you have to. We go empty sets or spread things out and then try to get cute. I mean, case in point, that play on the first drive where Dobbs got leveled and ended up fumbling the ball. We take TJ Hawkinson takes a direct snap and pitches it to Josh Dobbs, who tries to go around the outside. Trying to get too cute in some of these places. Drew says Madison's exactly what he thought he was going to be. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Drew. I was hopeful that we were going to see a step forward. I thought he could be more than what he is. My worthless opinion, good evening. KOC is too conservative. Yes, he is. I know last night, once we got a 7-point lead, it seemed like he kind of tried to sit on it and not push things too much. But the thing of it is, he's conservative, again, when he shouldn't be. And then when he probably should play it a little more conservatively, he gets cute like that. Pitch out to Dobbs and whatnot. KOC gets in his own way. I don't think he's the offensive guru others seem to think he is. The guy's smart, and he's shown that he can call a very good game, but then he's also shown that, I think maybe to an extent he's kind of like Kirk Cousins, and he gets in his own head and tries to outthink or overthink things, and sometimes that ends up biting him in the ass, and I think that happened last night considerably. The one call that they did make that was, I thought, very aggressive and worked out perfectly was that fake punt to Ty Chandler. That was perfectly timed, perfectly called. I wish they would have done something like that. We had that 3rd and short at the end of the first half when they, there again, should have ran the ball on 3rd, and it was a little bit less than a yard. And, at that point in time, you had 2 downs to get a yard. If you can't get a yard in 2 downs, then you have no business being out there. So I would have liked to have seen him run the ball there instead of getting cute and trying to throw it and that kind of stuff. But plays to protect the lead instead of extending it. Exactly my point. He doesn't have that killer instinct. He's playing the gentleman's game of chess when we should be playing rock'em sock'em robots, pretty much. This isn't a gentleman's game. You go out there and you beat your opponent into submission, take away their soul, their will to win, their will to continue. Stomp a mud hole in their ass and walk it dry, to quote the great Steve Austin. Losing to Sean Payton is really annoying. That's probably the part that pisses me off more than losing the game in general. My worthless opinion. There is not I try not to say that I hate people, but there's nobody in the National Football League that I hate more than Sean Payton. That smug son of a bitch. I made a comment to my dad when we were watching the game last night. I said, that he has the face that just makes me want to walk up and just punch him right in the face. Doesn't have to say a word. Just seeing him makes me want to walk up there and smack him silly. How can a play caller with the Onions call fake punt in his own territory, get gunshot in the red zone? That's the part that absolutely boggles my mind, Drew. I don't understand that. It makes no sense whatsoever. And or when he doesn't go conservative, then he gets too cute and tries to do that, like we saw that one game last year where he had Dalvin Cook trying to throw a jump pass touchdown down the goal line. I mean, there's a point to be conservative. There's a point to be aggressive, but you have to be smart in either case. It's not be aggressively stupid or, stuff like that. It's just, Dave, from what I understand, the fake was called at the line because the right side had a blocking advantage. Good preparation for planning that. If that wasn't an O'Connell thing, then that's a Mike Daniel thing. And all the credit to him for having his guys, being able to diagnose that and make that call at the line. It was a great play, no matter, whoever came up with it, it was perfectly timed. Chandler's basically the up man that calls the snaps and stuff there. So, if he made that call, then kudos to him, whoever coming up. Doc, when was the last time we actually curb stomped a team? I honestly couldn't tell you. We beat Green Bay 28-7 last year, but 28-7 is not really a curb stomping. We were in the process of curb stomping the Saints last week, and then we took our foot off the gas. Yeah. Catch you later, Drew. I'm going to go watch that too, but once the show is done here. Malcolm in the middle, Sean Payton. Yeah. Dylan, his smirk mug makes my blood boil. Mine too. Good evening, by the way, Dylan. Thanks for joining. Payton infuriates me every time I see him. It just drives me insane. Think it's as simple as stick with what works and abandon what doesn't. Look at Denver. They took what we gave them, made us pay. They absolutely did. The defense did its part 90% of the night, holding them to field goals on the turnovers. We were in a position to win that game. At that last drive, I think we got a little conservative on the defensive side of things and ended up biting us. Blackman had a little bit bad positioning on that touchdown catch, but also had Josh Metellus come down with that interception, the game would have been over at that point in time too. KOC is overthinking things. I think you're right. This is a very good point, Brian. Thank you for bringing this up. Game was very reminiscent of Week 1 against Tampa. That's a perfect analogy right there. Again, we were clearly the better team against Tampa Bay. We were clearly the better team last night. But yet, turnovers, questionable play calling, and just ill-timed, stupid shit cost us the game last night. I mean, we can go back and look at every game we have played this year. I mean, we should have beat Philadelphia. We very easily could have beat Kansas City, probably should have beat Kansas City. I mean, we should have beat Denver. We should have beat Tampa Bay. We should have beat the Chargers. The Chargers gave us that game, and we handed it back to them. This team could be a one-loss team right now, and you could argue the point that we could be undefeated. I mean, of course, things happen, and but instead of 6-5, we could easily be in 9-2 and be pushing for that number 1 seed right now, even with all the injuries and everything that we've had. But all the problems we have had this year have been self-inflicted. We have not been thoroughly outplayed by anyone. It's just Eagles coach want to punch him too. Yeah, he's got that. He's the perfect coach for that city because he's a jackass and the fans are jackasses. I know some good Philadelphia Eagle fans, so I'm not going to generalize all of them, but we all know how things are over there, and they'll admit to it as well. So 16 points is KOC's biggest blowout. Yeah, that's not really a blowout. That's a 2-score game. Next week against the Bears, I truly hope so. We need that to be a get right again game. I mean, we knew that the Vikings probably weren't going to run the table and win out. I had always pegged the Cincinnati Bengals as being the loss we were going to have out of the next group until we get to that end where we got to face Detroit. Now with Joe Burrow out and our old buddy Jake Browning at quarterback, that all of a sudden makes that Bengals game easier. But we still have to go through the Bears Monday night. Then we have a bye, which hopefully we can get most of our guys back and healthy, that are going to be able to come back this year. We got Packers coming up. We've got to go to Vegas, who are all of a sudden playing better for their interim coach. Now, hopefully that newness is worn off by the time we go to play them, but that's not going to be as easy of a game as it looked like it was going to be a couple of weeks ago. Turnover once is an oddity. Over and over, it's on coaching. Team could be special. I agree. You can't just chalk it up to bad luck. I mean, yeah, last year we had an abundance of good luck. I'm not going to deny it. Were we fraudulent? No. You don't have to apologize for winning games. Winning games is tough in the NFL, and you take them any way you can get them. Yeah, we won 11 one-score games last year. This year we're 5-5 in one-score games. Been a fan long enough to know backup quarterback is not a reason to be optimistic we'll win. I know, G-Mac, I know, but you give me the option of facing a healthy Joe Burrow or Jake Browning. I think I'll take Jake Browning. Can't blame our offensive woes on injuries. We have problems even with the original starters. I agree on that, Doc, 100%. I mean, look at the beginning of the season. That's, we had the full complement. We had Jefferson. We had Kirk. We had all these guys, and they were still uncharacteristically coughing the ball up at inopportune times. Now, with Dobbs, I mean, that's always been kind of one of his knocks, is that he has ball control issues. So, I mean, can we excuse that? No, he needs to do a better job of holding onto the ball. But the one thing I'm going to say in Josh Dobbs' defense today is, after he got his bell rung, we kind of dialed some of the stuff back that we've seen the last couple of weeks. But, it kind of happened. It happened last night on social media, and today just like I thought and feared that it would the minute he had a not so great game. You've already got people out there saying, oh, no, we got to start Jaron Hall next weekend regardless, or if Hall isn't ready, we have to start Mullins. Last week, Josh Dobbs was in line to get a 3 or 4 year contract extension and be the bridge quarterback that the Vikings needed while we draft a young guy, yada, yada, yada. And now after last night, there's a bunch of guys or people out there just ready to throw him out the door already. It's for all the good that you can get out of social media and the interaction and stuff. There's some of this stuff. It's just knee-jerk nation. It's just, you kind of got to plug the ears and stand back and just kind of take in a deep breath and think these things through a little bit. I know I had people ask me today, does Jaron Hall start next week if he's healthy and ready to go? No. Josh Dobbs has earned the right to start another game. Now, if he comes out and lays a complete egg against the Bears, yeah, then you look at going back to Jaron Hall again. But no, he's earned the right, and stupid Bears lost a 12-point lead in 3 minutes. Yeah, the Bears screwed that up big time. Talked before the game about on Friday the Bears had no shot, and man, did they blow it. Yeah, again. For those of you who are in our Gellerhorn group, you will see the reason why we think that the Bears lost it. We have a certain friend in there who decides to just post random stuff that has jinxed more than one team this year. And he did that on the Bears, and not 30 seconds later, Detroit starts scoring points. So I'm blaming it on him. Defense is truly special. They were gassed that last drive. There was some of that too. I think, the altitude plays a role in Denver. But we did back off. We went to a lot of 3-man rushes. We weren't blitzing a whole lot there at the end. Good evening, Sean. What's up? We're just having a grand old time talking about all the miscues and crap that cost us that game last night. Madison saw one game holding the ball with 2 hands. I don't hold that. Fumble is his. He flat dropped it, Robert. He did. I mean, the handoff was clean. He ran into the pile and dropped the ball. At least people are starting to, not saying start Mannion over Dobbs. If somebody says Sean Mannion should start over Josh Dobbs, I am going to block them, and I'm going to report them because they are probably high on some sort of illicit drug that should be illegal in 180 countries around the world. Been throwing these guys 15 days. Kirk had years, and that's why he hits them. Yeah, there's still a timing thing. Absolutely. You have to build up a repertoire with these guys. You have off-season workouts. You have OTAs. You have training camp. You have all this stuff where your starter gets in the groove with these guys. I mean, there's going to be a transition period when Justin Jefferson comes back, whether it's this week or whether it's after the bye. That Dobbs is going to have to work with him and get the timing down. And, he's going to have the trust factor because it's Justin Jefferson, but that and the Kirkistanis are saying C. Yep, Dave, I've seen that too. There was so many of the Kirkistan army out there that were just waiting for Josh Dobbs to fail, just like the Kirk haters were sitting there waiting for Kirk to fail or for some other quarterback to succeed in this system. And so it's that whole CC back and forth back. And I'm so sick and tired of it. I am. But it's going to be a thing even after Kirk Cousins is gone, whether it's this year, whether it's 2 years down the road, because you're going to have the Kirkistans going, see, we should have kept Kirk because of this, or the Kirk haters, see, we didn't need Kirk because this guy is coming in and succeeding in this offensive system. It's a lesson in futility or exercise in futility to just try to get in the middle of that stuff. It's just, Yeah. Bears, even when we want them to win, they suck. Yep. Josh is a little behind in the throws. It's all reps. Look at how he hits TJ throws in off season with him. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And they worked out together in the off season, so they do have had a little built in familiarity and a little better on the repertoire with him. Now there again a couple times last night, late in the game, Hawkinson had a couple of balls that got knocked out of his hands that he maybe should have caught. There were good defensive plays. I'm not going to fault Hawkinson for those, but there was a time and a place there where we were hitting those trying to throw those short outs to Hawkinson when we maybe should have been looking downfield a little bit more. I think Jordan Addison only had 3 catches last night. KJ Osborne had 1. We were utilizing the tight ends a lot. I mean, Josh Oliver had a hell of a game, I thought. Chandler needs to be RB1. Good evening, John. Yeah, we had a full discussion about that. I can't argue that point with you. I really can't. But I'm not making those decisions. TJ killed us on those contested balls the last time through. Yep, Brian, you're absolutely right. Why is my mouse not working? All right. Well, I'm trying to do my stuff here, but it looks like my mouse is deciding to take a dump on me. So we'll just keep talking here. All the Dobbs throwing to TJ in the offseason, smoking with Aaron. Yeah, hits him because he knows where he will sit. There's that as well. Sorry about that. Apparently, StreamYard decided to boot me out for a second, but I'm back. Where were we here? Hits him because he knows where he's going to sit. Yep. Hawkinson killed us on that last drive, dropping 2 contested balls. Yeah, that was where I was getting at there. He probably should have caught those, but like I said, it was a good defensive play on both of them. I forget who the defender was, but the same guy both times. Side note, love the orange in your Vikings images. Beard, I've always said purple and orange should be a badass color combo. Yeah, I'm happy the way the logo turned out when we did the design on it. So it's you get that. The Scandinavian, they're either usually blonde or red hair. The orange kind of worked out good in it. So please sit Alex for a game. Accountability. They're not going to, Robert. We can ask for that all we want to, but KOC likes Alex Madison. He does. And whether it's stuff he's showing in practice that's making him get more playing time and starting, I don't know what it is. Good point here, Doc. Okay, with giving the Broncos credit, their defense did step up. Their defense has been considerably better ever since they had that 70-point blowout loss to the Dolphins a few weeks back. And, they beat Kansas City and they beat Buffalo. So, they're no slouches. And for as much as I hate Sean Payton and I wish he would lose every game that he coaches from here until the time that he retires, again, he's getting Denver turned around a little bit. They were bad to begin the season, but they're starting to get things figured out there. And we were still the better team last night. In no way, shape, or form was Denver the better team, but stuff happened the way it happened, and we ended up on the short end of the stick. On to the Bears, who did play pretty well yesterday. Important to get that win. Yeah, Justin Fields looked pretty good coming back from his injury. I'm not as concerned about running quarterbacks as with this defense as I was, say, with Donatel last year. We did a pretty good job on Fields in the first game, so there's no reasons that we can't this time as well. It's going to be loud, US Bank Stadium, home game, just to go out there and have a better showing. I mean, that Bears game the last time, I remember talking to somebody, it's when we were watching the game, and the guy said, this game is putting modern NFL football back 30 years. I hopefully expect it to be a better game this time. Justin Jefferson might be back for this one. At this point, if he's not 100%, let him sit until the bye. But they are going to have to activate him pretty soon, or we're going to lose him for the year, because he's getting well into that 21-day practice window. So I believe O'Connell today said that they're taking him day to day right now. Questionable for this weekend. Of course, they're not going to tip their hand on Tuesday or Monday if he's, whether or not he's going to play on Sunday or Monday. So they will they'll hold that one close to the vest, I'm sure, up until they actually have to, declare him active for the game or not. KOC says people that fumble will be disciplined. They sat Madison for a couple plays after that, but yeah, it wasn't any discipline by any stretch of the imagination. So, those threats ring hollow until they actually do something about it. Now, to Madison's credit, this is only the second fumble he's had this year. It seems like there's been more than that, but I look back at the stats for the year, and he's only fumbled twice, once in that first or second game, and then last night again was the other one. Would have been much different last night if JJ played. It was the right call to sit him. This week, I agree, Doc. He said earlier in the week he was only like at 80 to 90%, and if that's the case, yeah, you absolutely sit him. You do not want to have him re-aggravating that thing and make it linger for the rest of the season, because we are going to need him in this stretch run if we have aspirations of not only making the playoffs, but actually winning a playoff game and maybe getting into or past the divisional round. We're going to need Jefferson. So I would rather sit him against the Bears this week if he's not absolutely at 100%. And I think that's the way they're going to play it. But we will see later in the week, I guess. John, same thing here. We're just saying if we need to sit for the Bears, okay with that. Addison, Osborne, and TJ handling the catching well. Addison definitely has proven it as a great draft. That's, I think, long-term is going to play major dividends, is the fact that Jordan Addison has gotten that experience as wide receiver one with Jefferson out, because when you bring Jefferson back, Addison's put enough on tape that you can't just ignore him like they kind of were early in the season, and putting all the effort towards Jefferson. Because if you're going to cover Jefferson double, Addison's going to be open one-on-one. If you're going to double Addison, Jefferson will be open. If you try to double them both, Osborne or Hawkinson or somebody else is going to be open. So it's going to make this offense more explosive, or it should. And that's one thing we haven't seen the last couple of weeks, or last night especially, is those explosive plays down the field. Now, again, some of that's going to come with familiarity between Dobbs and his receivers and some of that stuff. And you have to just, let things play a little bit and get the timings down and everything else before you start dialing up all that stuff with a new quarterback. But when you get Jefferson back in there, that's going to open that back up again, I would think. So, we're looking at, since we were talking playoffs, You know, we had a golden opportunity to pick up a game on the Lions. And then, of course, the Bears went out and bared. And we went from potentially being able to pick up a game and only being a game back to dropping a game and now being 3 back. The path to winning the North got a whole lot harder. I mean, we're going to have to hope that Detroit does stumble against one of these teams they have left. And then we have to still beat them twice in order to get that North. Now, losing last night actually didn't hurt our playoff chances much. I think we were 86%, 85%, something like that before the game. We're still at 78% after the loss. What helped out is the only team that has a tiebreaker right now that's in the hunt for a wild card spot in the NFC is Tampa Bay, and they lost. So they're, I believe, 2 full games behind us in the win-loss record. So we're still sitting in good shape. I mean, you know, we're going to end up being 6 or the 7 seed probably. I mean, we could get – I don't think we're going to get up to the 5 seed because Dallas is playing well enough that they are going to probably get that 4 seed. John, Saints and Denver could stumble the Lions, especially the Cowboys. Do they have they play the Cowboys this year? I guess if they got the Cowboys on the schedule, that's a definite. Denver, if their defense plays like it played, you know, last night, yeah, definitely a possibility. The Saints, I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Saints, to be honest with you. But I also said that the Bears had absolutely zero shot of beating Detroit yesterday, and they almost pulled it off. So it's that any given Sunday thing. I mean, it's Robert, good teams beat the teams you're supposed to. That's absolutely correct. And us as Vikings fans have seen that too many times where we tend to play down to some of those lesser opponents, and then we end up in a dogfight where we should have a comfortable 2 to 3 score win. But as GMAC said earlier, the biggest margin of victory for any well, I think it was 21. I think it was 21 points because it was 28-7 that opening game last year against Green Bay. Cowboys play between our games. So, okay, then could Detroit go on a 3-game losing streak to end the season? It's possible. I mean, we're going to have to play damn good against them both times because, they've kind of had our number a little bit the last year or so, a couple of years, but anything's possible. And until it's out of reach, it's still a possibility. So, but beyond that, there was one roster move today. I guess I'll bring that up before we call it a night here. Dean Lowry got placed on injured reserve, re-aggravated the injury that he had a couple of weeks ago last night. So he's out for the next 4 weeks. And guard Chris Reed was officially activated off IR, so he is back on the 53. He took Lowry's place. So now we have a little extra added depth on the offensive line should we need it. It was right there and we lost it. Yep, I started off the show with that today, that we snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And, unfortunately, no matter who the coach is, no matter who the players are, there always seems to be 1 or 2 of those every year that the Vikings go and crap the bed and end up losing a game that they had no business losing. Last night was one of those games. Hopefully there aren't any more of those this year, but we'll see how things go. But with that, we've got about 40 minutes here tonight. I've been ranting the whole time. Love this team. You have to play 4 quarters. Agree 100%. My throat's bugging me a little bit here, so I think I'm going to call her for the night. Unless you guys got anything else you want to talk about quick, we can do that. But if not, again, want to thank all you guys for watching. If you've not done so, hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. I go out there and I try to interact with as many people as possible on the X-Files, formerly known as Twitter. And beyond that, I want to thank all you guys again for joining in the chat. I love talking back and forth with you guys every Monday. This is one of my favorite things to do, the live shows. Speaking of which, we will have a Brunswick's Best this week, as of right now anyway. Hopefully the schedules align correctly this week. Last week was kind of a rough week for emergency issues and stuff, so we only got the main show last week. But scheduled to have Brunswick's Best looking at number 27 this week, Wednesday. That'll be out at 6 p.m. Friday night, Lance and I go live once again to preview the Monday night matchup against the Bears. So make sure you tune in for that as well. Good evening, Chuck. Again, thank you everybody for watching. Shout out to the Filipino fan club, Noi, BB, Jen, Wilma, all you guys over there, Nympha, across the pond, listening to us over there as well. Appreciate you guys. And Brian, you have a good one too as well. Monday Night Football on right now. It should be a good game. It's Philadelphia and Kansas City. Do not do the Taylor Swift drinking game or you'll be drunk and passed out before halftime. But with that, you guys have yourself a great evening. We will see you Wednesday for Brunswick's Best and Vikings Uncensored live on Friday night. So you guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll catch you later. Skol Vikings.